Alright, welcome to part 3 of our list view tutorial. In this part we are going to continue with groupings. I have a few more examples, each one being different than the other. So we're going to take a look at those in this part. Having said that, I'm going to put this list view inside a region again. Control KS. I'm gonna name this grouping 1. Alright, and comment the section out, the whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna collapse all this stuff. Alright, so far we did what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 examples. That's pretty good. Alright, so let's start off with our new example. And oopsie, Control Z, come on. What's going on? That's odd. Alright, so list view again. Let's open close. And let's go ahead and set the item source. This time I'm going to set the binding to binding source. And that's going to be static resource CVS. Okay, so our binding is in place. Next, I'm going to add a list view. Let me see, list view group style. List view dot group style tag. Okay. Next, let's declare the group style, and inside here, I'm going to use the group style dot header template. Okay. And we need a data template, of course, inside the header template. And here I'm gonna start off with a stack panel, and then a text block, which is going to be bound to binding name. So this name property refers to the property name of the genre. Okay, so it's related to this guy here. Okay, so because we're using this key here, we're still using this collection source as our data source, which is getting its data from the song list and then grouping the items. Okay, so let's build this and see what happens. Alright, we are getting somewhere. So we are getting the group item as header right now. Okay. Alright, so now that we have that, we are going to oopsie, that's not the right place. I'm going to go right below here and start adding a list view, and then grid view columns, open close, and grid view column. And header, it's going to be, you can see the changes as we type. So the first column will be title again, and the display member binding will be binding title. Okay, cool. And we can copy from now on, from here on. It's pretty easy. It's just a matter of copy and pasting the columns and change the header and the binding. So let's say this one, we want this to be let's say artist, and let's change this property to artist. Okay, and let's add one more, and that's it. I mean, you guys can figure out the rest. So basically, once we did 1, 2, it gives you the general idea how it's gonna go. Alright, so this, let's say URL. Let's change this binding to URL, and let's go ahead and run this. Alright, so our data is here, and the headers, I mean the grouping items are headers now instead of being in the center like the last example. So this is slightly different. Actually, you know what, let's go ahead and draw a line underneath there. So I'm going to draw a line right underneath the header so it's more obvious. Line, I'm going to say x2 is 1. I want the stroke to be, let's say gray, and let's stretch this to fill and close this out. Now we draw a line right underneath the header. Okay, and let's change the font weight to medium so it's more obvious that we have a header there, and run this. I should center this startup location. Keep forgetting about it. So yeah, I mean, now we have a different way of grouping items together, and list view gives us a pretty useful, gives us useful tools to do that. Okay. All right. So yeah, I was going to center the startup location, right? So Windows startup location, let's say screen center. So instead of moving around the window every now and then, we want to start in this right in the center, so we don't have to worry about that part. Okay, so beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and put this in a region before we move on to our next example. Control KS, and let's say header style template, header template. Okay, so let's comment this last example out as well and start our new example. Alright, so we're going to start with list box again, list view. Alright, set the item source back to binding source, static resource, CVS, and close the tag. Alright, so this is going to be a little more complex. So this one is, instead of header, the group item being the header, this time it's going to be the footer. But again, it's going to be a little more complex than this. You'll see as we progress. Alright, so list view, looking for list view, list view, group style. Okay, then I need the group style tag by itself, group style container style. Right, so this time we are styling the container, and style, targeting the group item. Okay, setter will be a property called template, and in here we need setter value. Setter value is going to be a control template. Okay, and in here as our control template, I'm going to add a grid. I'm going to add 3 columns to the grid. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go right below the column definitions and add a text block and set the text to binding name again. Okay, so that's our group item. Let's build this and see what happens. Alright, so we got our group items. Okay, next I'm gonna go outside the group style, list view group style, and add a list view. Alright, and once again we'll add the grid. You know what, I'm just gonna copy and paste from the previous example, so just copy paste this part here instead of retyping, repeating ourselves. And while we're getting this property, oh, of course, I forgot to add the grid view, right? Now let's paste it and build it. And nothing happened. I wonder why. Is it possible we forgot to add item presenter here? Possible. Let's see. Let's see. No. I think I should have done this 2 rows for the grid instead of 1. Item presenter. Yeah. We should have done 2 rows. Alright, let's add a couple of rows too. So grid.row definitions. And row definitions 1 and row definition 2. Okay, so now let's say we want the item presenter to be inside the second row. So grid.row, that's going to be number 1, and no, actually it's 0. This should be 0. The text block should be inside 1, right? Yep, that's it. Alright, let's build this, and actually before we run it, let's make that text block font size to font weight to medium, or we can go bold. Okay, and let's run it. Alright, so now we have the group item as footer versus having as header. Okay, and we did that through using the group style container style. Yep, and we add a control template, all that good stuff. I think we can, let's see, I wonder should add a line about the header. We could, or yes, let's do that. See, we have how many? 2 rows. I can put this in a stack panel maybe, or put this in one stack panel. Control KS, tag, stack panel, and let's add a line. Let's say x2 is 1, stretch is fill, and stroke is blue. Let's see, close this out. Then beautiful. Well, actually no, I want it to be on the top, not below that. So let's run this. It's not so bad, but it looks like a header. So let's take the stuff back. Well, actually no, I can just copy and paste it instead of typing it. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of this stack panel, or pull the item presenter out, and then can copy and paste this stack panel. Well, in that case, let's try it, but I kind of doubt that's gonna work. Maybe it will. Maybe it did. Let's run this. That's exactly what I want. Alright, perfect. I was thinking to add another row, but I guess I don't have to. Alright, so that's as a footer, and actually we can, add more stuff to it because we have 3 columns. So let's see. Let's say all the way to the right, I want to add the count of the items, and I can do so. Just go right here, hit enter, add a text block, and say grid dot column 2, and the text is going to be bound to binding items dot count, and I want this to be vertical no, text alignment to be right, and close it out. Okay, let's run this and see how it looks. Oh wow, it's all the way here. We have this huge blank column here. Maybe I should put in, let me give it a background color, see where does it start. Red. It starts all the way from here. In that case, let's put in grid.column 1, and Still way out. All right. Well, you know what? Let's keep it there. It's not so bad, and really, I mean, you can play with it. You can just if I yeah, let's get rid of this color, and it's right here. We can actually, let's make that bold. Say font weight bold as well, and we can play with the binding in a way that set a string format, say add count to it. Did we lost it? So let's add a 0 here. So 4 count, 5 count, 3 counts. It's kind of bugging me, but I'm gonna let you guys figure that out, okay? I wasn't really planning on doing that, but actually, this is on a different row, I think. Is it? Let's see. Did we give it a row? I don't think so. We gave it the column. Maybe we should get a row. Yeah, this one is on row 1, so that's so it should be. So grid that row 1. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I mean, you get the idea. You can add more stuff to here, you know, if you need to. Just add the count to it, but you can do anything you want to. It could be a total, it could be a subtotal, it could be grand total. I mean, depends on your application, really. All right, so that's that. Let's mark this as group header. I mean, group item as footer. So footer with container style. Okay, and let's go ahead and comment this part as well before we move on to our next example. All right. Okay, for our last example for this part, I'm going to reuse this last one. Just gonna copy and paste this, the whole thing, and paste right here up top. Okay, I'm going to do some minor changes here. All right, so I'm going to get rid of content of the grid, change the grid to a an expander. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is set the header to binding name, and that should be it. Actually, no, I want the expander to stay expanded until we specify otherwise. So is expanded, we'll set that to true and build this. Okay, now we have a different way of grouping items using the expander. You can collapse the expanders and all that good stuff. Okay, so I think that's gonna be it for this part, and until the next tutorial, take it easy.